Well, hello, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to our exploration of Ruth, where we are finishing up Act 1. We're in Scene 4. The great result, the great return, if you will. They're back. And we've seen so far the narrative showing us the contrast between Naomi's faith and Ruth. And we're going to see it again, actually. Because as we get back here to this last section, we'll see the light kind of dim off of Ruth and right back to Naomi in an extreme way. She's going to dialogue again. And I believe there's a call here to, again, contrast between her and what Ruth had said in the last one. We're going to look at these two women where a spotlight has been on them and to ask ourselves, who do we want to imitate? Again, we have to put ourselves in the shoes of the first readers, Jews. Most probably Jews during the time of David or maybe a little bit after his reign. Maybe at the time of Solomon when things are starting to go off track. The idolatry and everything. And then you read about this. The thing is, we are called to try to understand all the little things, the nuances, and the ways that God is teaching us, talking to us through this text. So let's go discover this together, brothers and sisters, as we continue. And it says, so the two of them went on until they came to Bethlehem. And when they came to Bethlehem, the whole town was stirred because of them. And the woman said, is this Naomi? Like I said, the first thing to notice is how the spotlight is off at Ruth. Right? The narrator is picking up the voice again. And he's saying the two of them. He doesn't name names yet. The only name that shows up is at the end on the lips of the women, and that's Naomi. And she's the one that's going to speak up. Again, probably calling us to look at Naomi now. You know that. And when the narrator speaks up again, we see that he kind of picked up where he first left off. Maybe he's the one that told us Naomi found out about the bread and the visit of the Lord towards his people. That Bethlehem, named twice here, the house of bread now has bread. And so she left. Then we have the interaction, the dialogue, and the narrative picks up again and says, and they just traveled. And that's it. He just leaves us not knowing how long did it take. Not important. But what is important is they made it safely. At a time when it was dangerous. Travel could be long. You could even die on the road or be killed. They made it. God's providence was with them. And the town reacted. The word steered here is an emotional word, but it's a neutral word, actually. It could be negative or positive, they said. It is used positively, and the other times it's used, though. In Samuel, it's when the people find out that the ark of the Lord is coming to the battlefield, and everybody's cheering. Or in Kings is when Solomon is established king, and again, people cheer. But it's a neutral word. It just means there's a lot of emotion, commotion. And what's going on? And when we read that they're questioning about Naomi, it doesn't mean that Naomi necessarily is all beaten down and stuff. You shouldn't read into the text these things. Don't forget, Naomi's been gone for 10 years. She left with a husband and two boys, or two men, two sons. But now she's back. No husband, no sons, and there's a woman with her. Is that really Naomi? And there's emotion because it's a small town. We know who this is, but is it really her? These women with all these emotions going on will actually pick up again in the last scene of Act 4. But this time, it's going to be different. It's not going to be questioning and then bringing us into negative discussion. It's going to be very positive, actually. Then the women said to Naomi, blessed be the Lord, who has not left you this day without a redeemer. And may his name be renowned in Israel. He shall be to you a restorer of life, and a nourisher of your old age. For your daughter-in-law, who loves you, who is more to you than 7 sons, has given birth to him. There's no doubt now, the emotion here is not general, right? It's not neutral. It is very much joyful. Before, we're not sure. They just question it, but here, it's undoubtable. And the narrative, I think, is doing it on purpose. It's the women that react here with a question, and they'll react at the end to talk about how Naomi is now brought back, encouraged by the Lord, by this Ruth that loves her. And we'll see more when we get to that scene. But for now, we've got to know, how did Naomi react? Is it her? Well, that's what she said. She said to them, do not call me Naomi. Call me Mara. For the Almighty has dealt very bitterly with me. Naomi means pleasant, means is good and joyful. She says, that's not my name anymore. I am Mara, I am bitter. And we saw that's the only emotion given to Naomi later before, right? Just like we said, the emotions of the group, her emotion is bitterness because of the Lord's hand against her. And so she says, she's actually going to do an ABBA, what we call a chiastic structure, where she's going to use the two names of the Lord. At first and at the end, the same name, in the middle, the same name. You'll see what I mean. But here it's the Almighty. A name you should know because it was first used with Abraham after he defeated 4 kings and their armies with his 300 men. Not soldiers, just servants. He defeated 4 kings because God was with him. Now Melchizedek shows up. They rejoice in the Lord, or specifically the Almighty. Melchizedek was a priest and a king of God Almighty. So God, in His sovereignty, that's what the idea behind Almighty, in His power, worked so amazingly for Abraham, not for Naomi, according to her. And the word here is not actually bitter, it's not mara. It really is more of a word for malediction or cursing. He really just brought pain in my life with His almighty hand. So she looks at her circumstances, and as she's going to explain what they are, she says, God is against me. So what brings her to say that? What's the circumstances exactly? Well, here they are. I went away full, and the Lord has brought me back empty. Why call me Naomi, when the Lord has testified against me, and the Almighty has brought calamity upon me? This is what I mean by the A, B, Lord, B again, Lord, and finally Almighty, A again. That's the chiastic structure. We'll get back to names, but for now, take note of this little I. It's what they call the dominant position. See, in Hebrew or in Greek, you can have one word be what dominates the whole verse or phrase. Here it's her. Her perspective, her situation, and her life. Her life was abundance. And right away you want to stop and say, wait a second. We know that it was a time of famine. Everybody was in poverty. That's why they left and went to Moab, where again they ended up there with nothing. How can she say she left full? Well, she had a husband. She had sons. In the mindset of an Israelite, that's a lot. Having sons and a husband. So maybe she means that kind of fullness. But still, in her mind, she was just blessed, full with stuff. And in her mind, it's the Lord that brought her back with nothing. Now she with nothing, she's got Ruth with her. Remember that we just saw at the end, they're going to say, Ruth, who you love, is the reason why you have a grandson now. She doesn't have nothing. Not only did God tell her somehow that there was bread now in Bethlehem, led her safely to it, but he brought her back with somebody to care for her. That would make it possible for her to get fed. Is she really back empty? No. She's reading her perspectives according to her vision, right? My understanding of things. And we have to resist that kind of attitude as well. To read our circumstances and let that decide if God is for us or against us. She then goes to the name of the Lord, right? The Lord brought me back, and it is the Lord who has testified against me. It really is a legal term she's using here. Right? Because in God's law, He had established blessing and cursing. Where if you obeyed, you were blessed, and if you disobeyed, you were cursed. And here she's saying, God looked at our lives and testified and pronounced a judgment of curse against me. Again, she found out about it. She came back safely and with somebody to take care of her. Is God really against her? Is that really his last word against her? No, it's not. But her circumstances and the way she reads it makes you think so. See, in God's great law situation with cursing and blessing, there's actually even a little added stipulation that these curses were actually sent to wake up the people that were in sin. And if they repented, God promised to be gracious to them. And don't forget, all the way through the text, we keep seeing this word for go back, which makes us think of repenting. Except she keeps saying, go back to your gods, go back to your people, go back to the world. Don't come to the Lord. With all that, God has still shown grace to her. Again, making sure she finds out, leading her back to Bethlehem, and giving her someone to care for her. What is God's real testimony towards her? It's to bless. It's the same thing for us. We have to be careful how we perceive things. Paul tells us, because Christ died for us, we know God is for us. Yeah, but this, that, and the other. No, Christ died for you, therefore God is for you. Period. Yeah, but period. She really believes that the Almighty, going back to that name again, sovereign ruler, has brought calamity upon me. Right? Another word of suffering and of cursing against her. But easy. Well, no. And the narrator, the inspired divine narrator, will get the last word here. Not Naomi and her perceptions. So Naomi returned, and Ruth, the Moabite, her daughter-in-law, with her, who returned from the country of Moab, and they came to Bethlehem at the beginning of barley harvest. Now that's important because there was a famine in the land, and we don't know for how many years. That means that there was no barley harvest for many years. They came back, not just when food is coming back, but at this exact moment when there's a harvest. They could have come back months before and had to wait for the food to be ready and could have died. But God made sure they came back to a time when the harvest was ready so they could eat. God is for them. So that's God's last word. I am for them. Plus, they keep repeating this idea of Moab, don't they, right? The narrator keeps telling us that they've returned from Moab, the place of cursing. And Ruth, not just Ruth, Ruth is a Moabitess. A people who is cursed and rejected by God, who can never enter the temple, ever. Yet Ruth will come to be part not only of God's people, but of the lineage of David and therefore the Messiah. That's grace. See, we put ourselves in the shoes of the first readers. We are presented with two people, an Israelite woman and a Moabitess. And it's not the Israelite woman that is the example for us. She keeps questioning God, reading her circumstances, making her doubt who God is in his goodness. Ruth is the one who's faithful and obedient, and who's willing to give up everything to turn to God's people and to God himself, using his very name as a pledge that she will devote herself to this woman. Who is the example? Ruth is. The Moabitess. This is a bit like with Jonah, but we'll get to that when we get to that book. But for us, it's again a reminder that we must not be quick to judge those from the outside, or even more those who come to the Lord from the outside with very difficult and heavy baggage. But we must have that kind of gracious vision, the same way we don't read our circumstances in any other way than by the cross and by grace. Or we'll find the same trap that Naomi does. Let's not do that, brothers and sisters. Look at it with the cross and grace. And on that note, be blessed.